Hello, my name's Ed Huck with Keller Williams Realty, and I'm here to give you your real estate 2020 market review. So as a lot of you know, I've been doing this kind of weekly. I fell off the wagon for a couple of weeks while we kind of regrouped and did some planning for 2021. So I wish you all a happy new year if I haven't personally already talked to you. So we're going to dive into what actually happened last year in 2020 and compare it to what happened in 2019. And let's get right at this. So let's kind of dive into some of what drives real estate. One big thing that drives real estate is mortgage rates. So I pulled up a chart here for everybody to see what's been going on with mortgage rates last year. And you can see we started out the year, the green is the 15-year, but let's look at the 30-year. So the blue is the 30-year mortgage rates. So at the beginning of the year, we were a little over 3.5% for a 30-year mortgage. That's conventional financing. And then you can kind of see what happened as COVID unfolded and the Fed did everything they could to kind of help prop up the economy. As everybody knows, they dropped, the prime rates, which necessarily doesn't officially affect mortgage rates directly, but that's for a different day. We can kind of dive into what drives mortgage rates. But anyway, you can see here that we ended the year and mortgage rates for a 30-year fixed were still right under 3%. So mortgage rates have dropped last year. The other thing that drives real estate is employment. This is Ohio unemployment for the last 2 years. Let me see if I can make that even bigger. So you can see here on the right-hand side where before COVID, we were trucking along right at about 4% unemployment in Ohio. And then you can see in April, so actually in March of 2020, it bumped to 5.8. And as everybody knows, the bottom fell out. We went to 17.6 and 13.9 and 11. So the great news is, I know there's still a lot of you that are unemployed. A lot of you have been really affected with what's happened with COVID, especially if you're in the hospitality industry at all or travel industry. The silver lining to this, though, was a lot of people did get back to work, and unemployment in October was 6.1, November was 5.7, and is projected to be 5.5 for December. So we're not nearly as low as we were pre-crash with what happened with COVID in the spring of 2020. But the good news is we're definitely back on track. And the reason that matters is when you look at real estate, how does that affect, people's ability to buy homes? And obviously, if they don't have any money, you can't afford to buy a house if you're not working. So let's kind of dive into what really happened last year. So I'm going to blow this up as big as I can get it so everybody can see. So this is single-family homes in Cuyahoga, Lorain, and Medina counties. Light green is the number of homes for sale. Dark green is the number of transfers. And what you tend to see here is there's typically more homes for sale in the summer months. You can see in July of 19 and August of 19, we tend to get some more inventory coming on the market. And in the winter months, January, February of 19, it's lower. And if I'm going to go back and show you a 5-year trend so you can really see this at a better clip. But what I wanted to really pay attention to is what happened here. So COVID hit in March, and we had already had less inventory than we had in the previous March. So again, number of homes for sale was tracking at about 4,200. In this 2020's March, we were at closer to 3,500. Well, COVID hit and hardly anybody wanted to put their house on the market. So we had this whole big spring with not that many sellers putting their houses on the market. What ended up happening, though, after we got through the initial knee jerk of the layoffs in the spring of 2020, the people that did have jobs saw those really low interest rates and wanted to take advantage of that. So they really dove into the market. So when you start seeing number of transfers, which are the dark greens, you'll see those really outpacing where we were in 2019. So July 2020, we were at about 2,600 transfers. July of 19, we're only like 2,300. So you can see that trend that continued right through. So the dark green bars really outpaced the dark green bars in 2019. When all is said and done, we ended up selling about 5.1% more homes in those 3 counties than we did the previous year. So sales were up, which again, if you would have asked me that in April, would our sales be up for all of 2020? I would have definitely said no. So that was a huge shock. The other thing that happened is because we had this lack of new homes coming on the market and we had all this demand, it really was a feeding frenzy. If your home was priced under $250,000, $300,000 and was updated and cute and ready to move in, it was selling in days, multiple offers. Every realtor on our team and realtor that has example after example of, we had 17 offers on this house and it's over 32 grand over asking price. And that's even continuing to still happen a bit. So when we dive back into this shows how long is it taking to get a house sold. Well, on average, we're down 19%. So it was taking 71 days to get a house under contract. Now it's at 57 days. Average sale price, great news. If you already own a home, the average sale price is up 8.3% for last year. So that's phenomenal. The median sale price is about the same, 8.2%. That's an increase. So the average sale price if you add all those 3 counties together, is about $208,000. And then in the realtor world, a lot of you have heard the terms buyer's market, seller's market. And what that means to us is how long is it going to take to get rid of our current inventory? So if we continue to sell the homes at the same pace that we're selling them now, how fast are we going to be out of homes? In the realtor world, if we have under 3 months, so if I could draw a line in here, but anyway, under 3 months worth of inventory, it's what we call a seller's market. And you can see we ended this market in about 17, we started to enter it. But it really took off again last spring and over the summer. So if we go back and look at this same chart over the last 5 years, it's never been this strong of a seller's market. Matter of fact, if I could go back 25 years, it's never been this strong of a seller's market. So, you see these ups and downs a little bit here, and this is the seasonality. It takes, things slow down a little bit in the winter, and then they pick up in the summer and spring, winter, summer, spring. But you can see we never had that big uptick, that we would have normally had. And it has been a very hot seller's market, continues to still be a hot seller's market. These are the fun graphs when you go back and see, this is the last 5 years of what's been going on. Again, light green is number of homes for sale. You can see the seasonality of up and down, more for sale in the winter. More for sale in the summer than the winter. And here is the last 2 years. So when you actually put it in context and see that's together with, what was going on for the last 5 years, it just really shows you how strong of a seller's market it really is. And the crazy part is, this also shows days on market. What used to take, 100 days to get a house under contract, and then now it's in the 50s. Average sale price over the last 5 years. So in the last 5 years, the average sale price has gone up 30%. That's great news, if you own a home, because I've been selling back in 2008 when the market tanked, and it was very difficult for me to come into somebody's house and tell them it was worth 20 grand less than they paid for it 4 or 5 years ago. The great news now is we're telling folks their house is up 30% in the last 5 years. And again, this is the graph I just showed you a second ago, but shows again how much stronger of a seller's market it really is right now. So If you've ever thought about selling, now is still the time. Again, the market is on fire, especially again, if your house is under, say, $300,000. Rates are still very low. They ticked up a little bit the other day, and then they kind of settled right back down. So I wouldn't worry about that. And, you know, we've had folks say, oh, I don't want to go get in the market now, because if I buy now, what happens if the market implodes? I don't see that happening. You know, in Northeastern Ohio, when the market values crashed in 2008, our market crashed not because of our values being too over inflated. Our market crashed because the economy crashed, and because we lost a lot of manufacturing jobs with the auto industry. And when that happened, and because of all the predatory lending practices that had happened. So our affordability in Ohio, or Northeastern Ohio for sure, is still really high. So that's what's driving this price increase. I don't see a huge bubble coming when it comes to property values, at least in Northeastern Ohio. If we continue at this pace for a few more years, yes, I could then start to see, you know, maybe we've got some issues. But in the short term, you know, we could still probably handle another year or so of this and not have it not affect everybody's affordability too much. So it is still a great time to purchase, especially if you can get in and lock in at these very low interest rates. If you have any specific questions, again, this is you know, pretty broad area. But if you want to know what's happening in your neck of the woods, feel free to give a shout out to your favorite Ed Huck Team agent. We can get you these stats for your specific neighborhood, so you know exactly what's going on. And we're here for everybody. If you have any questions along the way, make it a great week. Thanks.